Most people think a quiet home means peace, but mine was punishment. The kind that flogs without being physical, until you forget what being seen feels like. I learned that at 17, lying in a hospital bed with a concussion, 2 broken ribs, and a fractured wrist, waiting for a phone call that never came. The accident happened on a Tuesday. Isn't that how the worst things always go down? Not on some dramatic Friday night or stormy weekend. Just a regular Tuesday afternoon when you're crossing the street after your shift at the bookstore, and some guy in a BMW runs a red light because he's too busy yelling into his Bluetooth to see you. I remember the sound more than anything else. That sickening thud. The way my body folded in against metal and asphalt. The screaming mine, I think, though it felt like it was coming from someone else entirely. Then hands, voices, sirens. The paramedic asking who to call. "My parents," I said, my voice cracking. "Please, call my parents." I gave them the numbers. Both of them. My mom's cell, my dad's cell, the house line. I was so sure, so absolutely certain, that this would be different. That an accident, a real emergency, would cut through all the years of being invisible. That they'd drop everything and come. The paramedic squeezed my hand. "We'll keep trying, honey." They tried for 3 hours. No answer. No callback. Nothing. I was admitted alone. Signed my own consent forms with my left hand because my right was casted. Sat through x-rays and CT scans with a nurse named Gloria, holding my good hand because there was no one else. She was maybe 50, with kind eyes and this gentle way of talking that made me want to cry more than the pain did. "No luck with your folks yet?" she asked when she came to check my vitals around midnight. I shook my head, not trusting my voice. "Well," she said softly, adjusting my IV, "you've got us tonight. You're not alone, sweetheart." But I was. I'd been alone for years. I just hadn't let myself admit it until that moment, staring at the sterile hospital ceiling, my body screaming in pain, while my family ate dinner and watched TV and lived their lives 12 miles away, completely unaware that I'd almost died. Or worse, aware and unconcerned. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here, to this place where my own parents could miss 17 calls about their daughter's accident and not think to check in. My name is Isabella Quinn, and I'm what you'd call the forgettable middle child. You know the type, not remarkable enough to celebrate, not problematic enough to worry about. Just there, occupying space between the golden child and the baby. In my family, that meant existing between Zita and Abel. Zita's 24 now, but she's been perfect since birth. Straight A's without trying, varsity volleyball captain, full ride to UC Berkeley, currently working some fancy marketing job in San Francisco with a salary that makes my dad's eyes light up whenever she mentions it. She's beautiful too. Tall, blonde, effortlessly graceful in a way that photographs well. Our parents' Instagram feeds are basically a Zita Quinn highlight reel. Then there's Abel, 15 and universally adored despite being, objectively, kind of a nightmare. He's the baby, the only boy. The last chance at carrying on the family name. Never mind that he's failing half his classes or that he wrecked Mum's car last year, joyriding with his friends. Dad just laughed it off, called it boys being boys, and bought him driving lessons. When Abel got suspended for vaping in the bathroom, they took him to his favorite steakhouse to talk it through. And me? I'm 18. Or I was on the day of the accident. I'm the one who got A's and B's, good but not remarkable. The one who worked part-time jobs since I was 15. Responsible but not worth celebrating. The one who never caused trouble, easy to overlook. I learned early that trying to stand out was exhausting and ultimately pointless, so I just stopped. I stopped expecting them to come to my school events, stopped being disappointed when they missed my birthday, stopped hoping they'd notice when I stayed out late or came home upset or needed something. The invisibility was almost comfortable after a while. Like a worn-in pair of shoes, not great but familiar. Until that Tuesday, when comfortable became unbearable. I was released from the hospital Wednesday afternoon with a list of prescriptions, instructions for care, and a follow-up appointment I'd have to figure out how to get to on my own. Gloria helped me into a cab, paid the driver $20, and made me promise to call if I needed anything. "Your family's gonna be so relieved to see you home safe," she said, hugging me gently. I didn't correct her. The house was empty when I got there. Of course it was. Wednesday at 3 p.m. Dad would be at work until 6. Mum was probably at her book club or yoga class or whatever. Social commitment mattered more than checking her phone. Abel had basketball practice. I dragged myself upstairs, every movement sending sharp pains through my ribs. My room looked exactly as I'd left it Tuesday morning. Bed unmade, laptop open on my desk, coffee cup still sitting on the nightstand. Like time had stopped for me, but kept moving for everyone else. I took 2 pain pills and lay down on top of my covers, staring at the ceiling, waiting. They came home around 6:30. I heard the garage door, then voices in the kitchen. Mum laughing at something. Abel complaining about being hungry. The normal sounds of a normal evening in the Quinn household. I waited for footsteps on the stairs, for someone to check on me. Notice I hadn't been home. Wonder where I was. 15 minutes passed. Then 30. Then an hour. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I got up, slowly, painfully, and made my way downstairs. My casted wrist cradled against my chest, moving like an old woman. They were all in the kitchen. Mum was making pasta. Abel was on his phone at the table. Dad was pouring himself a whiskey. I stood in the doorway for a long moment before Mum looked up. "Oh, Isabella," she said, barely glancing at me. "Could you set the table, honey?" That's when something inside me just cracked. "I was in the hospital," I said. My voice came out flat, emotionless. Yesterday, all of yesterday and last night. That got their attention. All 3 of them turned to look at me properly for the first time. And I watched their faces process what they were seeing. The cast, the bruises blooming purple across my cheekbone, the way I was holding myself. "What happened?" Dad asked, setting down his glass. "I got hit by a car, crossing Main Street after work. They called you, both of you, multiple times." Silence, the kind that feels like falling. Mum started, then stopped. She glanced at her phone sitting on the counter. "I was at Susan's yesterday. We were planning the fundraiser gala." I must have had it on silent. "And you?" I said, looking at my dad. You didn't think to check your messages. Not once. In 24 hours? He had the decency to look uncomfortable. I was in meetings all day yesterday. My phone was off. I had no idea. I know, I interrupted. That's the problem. You had no idea because you didn't check. Because it never occurred to you that something might be wrong. That I might need you. That's not fair, Mum said, defensive now. How were we supposed to know? I gave the paramedics your numbers. My voice cracked, and I hated how desperate I sounded. I gave them every possible way to reach you because I actually thought that if something serious happened, you'd care. But you know what? The hospital stopped trying to call after the 3rd hour. You want to know why? They didn't answer. Because I told them to stop. Because I finally got it. You weren't going to answer. Not for me. Isabella, Dad said, using his let's be reasonable voice that he usually reserved for business calls. You're upset and in pain. Let's not blow this out of proportion. Blow this out of proportion? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I almost died. I spent the night alone in a hospital bed waiting for my parents to give enough of a shit to pick up their phones, and you think I'm blowing this out of proportion? Abel, who'd been silent this whole time, suddenly spoke up. Maybe if you weren't always so dramatic about everything. Shut up, Abel. The words came out sharp and cold. You're 15, you don't get an opinion on this. Don't talk to your brother that way, Mom said automatically. And there it was. Even now, even with me standing there broken and bruised, the instinct to protect him kicked in first. I laughed. It hurt my ribs, but I couldn't stop. Right, of course. Sorry, Abel. Didn't mean to be dramatic about my traumatic accident that no one noticed. We're noticing now, Dad said, and we're sorry. This was an unfortunate miscommunication, but nothing. I was done. So completely done. You know what the worst part is? I'm not even surprised. This is just confirmation of what I already knew. And what's that? Mum asked, arms crossed defensively. That I could disappear tomorrow, and it would take you weeks to realize I was gone. The truth hung in the air between us, ugly and undeniable. That's not true, Mom said, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? I looked at each of them in turn. When's my birthday, Mom? She blinked. What? My birthday? What day is it? The pause was answer enough, but I waited anyway, watching her scramble mentally. It's in the summer, she finally said. July 15th. Same as every year. Same as the last 18 years. And you know what? You forgot it this year. All of you did. No card, no cake, no happy birthday. I spent my 18th birthday working a double shift at the bookstore and then eating ramen alone in my room, waiting to see if anyone would remember. Honey? Mom started. Save it. I was so tired. Bone deep exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with the accident. I'm going to bed. Don't bother checking on me. We both know you won't. I turned and walked away, leaving them in their perfect kitchen with their perfect excuses. And I didn't look back. The next few weeks were a study in careful avoidance. I healed slowly, ribs taking their sweet time, wrist itching constantly under the cast, bruises fading from purple to yellow-green. I went to my follow-up appointments alone, taking the bus with my good hand clutching the pole, learning to navigate the world one-handed. My family moved around me like water around a stone. Polite, distant, careful not to directly address what had happened. Mom left money on the kitchen counter sometimes. Guilt money, I knew, but I took it anyway. I needed it for co-pays and prescriptions. Dad asked how I was feeling exactly once, and when I said fine, he looked relieved and changed the subject. Abel avoided me entirely, which was honestly a relief. The weird thing about hitting bottom is that it clarifies things. Lying in that hospital bed, I'd had this moment of horrible crystalline understanding. I was never going to be enough for them. Nothing I did would make them see me the way they saw Sita or Abel. I could set myself on fire in the middle of the living room, and they'd probably just ask me to take it outside because the smoke alarm was annoying. So I stopped trying. I stopped hoping they'd ask about my day. Stopped leaving my bedroom door open in invitation. Stopped sitting at the family dinner table, instead taking my plate upstairs. Stopped existing in their peripheral vision. And you know what? They didn't notice that either. My 18th birthday had been 3 months before the accident. I'd woken up that morning with this tiny, stupid spark of hope that maybe, finally, they'd remember. That 18 was important enough to break through their indifference. I came downstairs to find Mum rushing around the kitchen, packing Sita's care package. My sister was coming home for the weekend, and Mum had been preparing for days like she was hosting royalty. "Morning, sweetie," Mum said distractedly. "Can you run to the store later? I forgot to get those cookies Sita likes." "It's my birthday," I said quietly. She looked up, confused, then her eyes widened. Oh my God, Isabella, I'm so sorry. With Zita coming home and everything. It's fine, I lied. Because what else could I say? That it wasn't fine. That it crushed something in my chest to be forgotten on the one day that was supposed to be mine. "We'll celebrate this weekend," she promised. "When Zita's here. We'll make it special." But that weekend came and went in a blur of Zita-centric activities. Brunch at her favorite restaurant, shopping for her new apartment. A family dinner where everyone toasted her promotion. My birthday became a footnote, a "we'll do something soon," that turned into never. I worked a double shift that day. My actual birthday, come home to an empty house, ate ramen, and went to bed. No calls, no texts, no cards. And I realized, this is what I'm worth to them. This is all I'll ever be worth. The accident just hammered that reality home with the force of a BMW running a red light. 6 weeks after the accident, my cast came off. I flexed my fingers, marveling at how pale and weak my wrist looked, and made a decision. I was going to leave. Not in some dramatic door-slamming "you'll regret this" way. Just quietly. The same way I'd existed in that house for 18 years. I'd pack my stuff, find a place to go, and slip away like smoke. And I'd see how long it took them to notice. I had some money saved. Not much, but enough. 2 years of working part-time at the bookstore. Every paycheck carefully squirreled away, because some part of me had always known I'd need an escape route. I had my high school diploma. I had no ties, no commitments, no one who'd miss me. The freedom in that realization was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. I started planning. Found a room for rent in a shared apartment across town. Nothing fancy, just a bedroom in a 3-bedroom place with 2 other tenants. The landlord, a tired-looking woman named Chen, barely glanced at my ID before handing me keys. "First and last month up front," she said. "Utilities split 3 ways. Don't be loud after 10. When can you move in?" 2 weeks? She shrugged. "Fine. Here's your roommates' numbers. Work it out with them." It was the easiest transaction of my life. No questions about my family, my plans, my story. Just business. I loved her for that. I texted my future roommates that night. One of them, Raphael, responded immediately with a string of enthusiastic messages and memes. The other, I'd later learn his name was Marcus, just sent a thumbs-up emoji. Perfect. For the next 2 weeks, I lived a double life. During the day, I went through the motions of being Isabella Quinn, invisible daughter. At night, I packed boxes and made lists and planned my exit with the precision of a heist movie. I didn't take much. Clothes, books, my laptop, a few personal items. I left behind anything they'd given me, not out of spite, but because I wanted to start fresh. I wanted everything in my new life to be mine, earned by me, chosen by me. The night before I left, I stood in my bedroom doorway and looked around. 18 years of life, condensed into 6 cardboard boxes and 2 suitcases. It should have felt sad, but mostly I felt light. Ready. I wrote a note, short, simple, taped to my bedroom door where they'd eventually find it. "I'm okay, I'm leaving. Don't look for me. Not I love you, not I'll miss you, not even goodbye. Just the facts." I left at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, while everyone was still asleep. Called an Uber, loaded my boxes, and watched the only home I'd ever known shrink in the rearview mirror. I didn't cry. I'd done all my crying in that hospital bed 6 weeks ago. This was something else. This was freedom. The apartment was a shithole. But it was my shithole. 3rd floor walk up, no elevator. In a building that had probably violated several housing codes. The walls were thin enough that I could hear Mrs. Chen's TV through the floor. And something was definitely wrong with the plumbing based on the creative symphony of sounds that happened every time someone showered. I loved it immediately. My room was small, barely big enough for a twin bed, a desk, and a narrow closet. But it had a window that looked out over the street. And in the mornings, sunlight would stream through and make everything look almost beautiful. I unpacked my boxes slowly, finding homes for my few possessions, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. The kind that comes from silence that's chosen rather than imposed. Raphael knocked on my door around noon that first day. He was exactly what his enthusiastic texts had promised. Early 20s, bright-eyed, wearing a vintage band tee and sporting a chaotic mop of curly hair that looked like it had never met a comb. "The new roomie," he exclaimed, grinning wide. "Finally, someone under 30. Marcus is cool, but he's like aggressively responsible. It's exhausting. I'm Raphael, obviously. Raph. Never Raphael, please. My mum only calls me that when I'm in trouble." I couldn't help but smile. "Isabella. Just Isabella Udd." Cool. So listen, house rules are pretty chill. We've got a cleaning rotation on the fridge. Don't touch Marcus's labeled food, or he gets weird about it, and Friday nights are communal dinner nights if you're around. Optional, but recommended. Marcus makes this incredible Thai curry. Noted. Also, he said, leaning against my doorframe, totally cool if you want privacy and space and all that. But like, if you want to hang, we're around. No pressure though. The casual offer of friendship, no strings attached, made my throat tight. Thanks, I managed. I appreciate that. For sure. He started to leave, then turned back. Oh, and welcome home. I know it's kind of a dump, but it's a friendly dump. After he left, I sat on my bed and let myself feel it, the weird, overwhelming relief of being somewhere I'd chosen, with people who wanted me there simply because I existed, not because biology demanded it. I found a job within a week, not the bookstore. I'd quit that before leaving, burning that bridge quietly and completely. This was a diner called Mel's, a 24-hour greasy spoon that catered to insomniacs, night shift workers, and college students cramming for exams. The owner, Mel herself, was a 60-something woman with a smoker's rasp and zero patience for bullshit. She looked at my application, sparse, given my limited work history, and then looked at me. You run away from home? She asked bluntly. I considered lying, went with the truth instead. More like walked away. I'm 18, legal adult, no drama. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Seen a lot of kids come through here with that look. That starting over look, I get it. You show up on time, work hard, don't steal, we'll get along fine. I can do that. Nights and weekends to start. Terrible tips, but easy customers. You'll mostly be dealing with truckers and insomniacs. Think you can handle it? Yes. Good. You start Tuesday. Wear comfortable shoes. You'll be on your feet the whole shift. Just like that, I had a job. No questions about my family, my address, my story. Just an opportunity. The work was exactly as advertised. Exhausting, thankless, often disgusting. But there was something meditative about it too. The routine of taking orders, pouring coffee, wiping down tables. The simple transaction of labor for money, no emotional strings attached. And the people were interesting. There was Bunny, the night cook, a massive guy with tattooed arms and a surprisingly gentle demeanor who'd slip me free fries when Mel wasn't looking. There was Chester, a regular who came in every night at 2 a.m. for black coffee and pie, always sitting in the same booth, reading philosophy books and leaving exact change. And there was my favorite regular, a woman about my age who came in every Thursday night around midnight, always ordering the same thing, coffee, black, and a grilled cheese. She'd sit in the corner booth with her laptop, headphones on, completely absorbed in whatever she was working on. One night, about 3 weeks into my job, I finally got curious. What are you working on? I asked, as I refilled her coffee. If you don't mind me asking. She looked up, startled, then smiled. Podcast, true crime. You make podcasts. Trying to. This is my third one. First 2 never got off the ground, but I'm hoping this one sticks. She gestured to the empty seat across from her. You on break? I glanced at Mel, who was absorbed in her crossword puzzle at the counter. Sure. I slid into the booth. And just like that, I made my first real friend in my new life. Her name was Melanie. But everyone calls me Mel, which gets confusing here. And she was 21. A community college dropout who decided traditional education wasn't for her and had gone all in on building her own media company. It sounds more impressive than it is, she laughed. Right now, my media company is me, my laptop, and a lot of coffee. But someday I'm gonna have a whole network. Murder mysteries, conspiracy theories, unsolved cases. The works. That sounds incredible. What about you? What's your story? I hesitated. Melanie must have seen something in my face because she quickly added, or not. Totally cool if you don't want to share. I know I'm basically a stranger who won't stop talking about dead people. No, it's... I took a breath. I left home about a month ago. Family stuff. Trying to figure out who I am when I'm not just reacting to them. She nodded slowly. Heavy. But also kind of badass? Doesn't feel badass. Feels scary. Best things usually do. She raised her coffee cup, or to scary new beginnings? I clinked my mug against hers. To scary new beginnings. Life developed a rhythm. I worked nights at the diner, slept during the day, and slowly began building something that felt like a life. I enrolled in community college for the spring semester. Just 2 classes to start, English and psychology, because I had no idea what I wanted to do, but figured I should do something. Raphael became my unlikely best friend. He was studying graphic design at the same community college, surviving on a combination of student loans, freelance work, and what he cheerfully called creative budgeting. He had this way of making everything feel like an adventure. Grocery shopping became a competition to find the weirdest discount items. Laundry day turned into impromptu fashion shows with our clean clothes. "You know what your problem is?" he said one night as we sat on the apartment's fire escape, sharing a pizza. "You're waiting for permission to be happy." "I'm not unhappy." "You're not unhappy, Tone," he agreed. "But you're not letting yourself be happy either, like you think you don't deserve it or something." I picked at the cheese on my slice. "Maybe I don't know how." "Then learn. Start small. What's one thing that would make you happy right now? Not like winning the lottery happy, just a little bit of joy." I thought about it, but getting a library card. He blinked. "That's very specific and kind of adorable." I love libraries. Always have. But my family never took me, and then I worked so much I never had time. I want to go to the library, get a card, check out a huge stack of books, and just read for fun. Not for school, not for work, just because I want to. "Then let's do it. Tomorrow's Saturday. I'm free afternoon. We'll go on a library adventure." "Really?" "Isabella, yes, really. This is what friends do. They support each other's weirdly specific joy missions." The next day, we went to the library. A beautiful old building downtown with high ceilings and that particular smell of old books and possibility. I filled out my application with careful, deliberate handwriting, and when the librarian handed me my card, a rectangle of plastic with my name printed on it, I felt something crack open in my chest. "Got what you needed?" the librarian asked. She was older, with kind eyes and reading glasses on a chain. "Yes," I said, my voice thick. "Thank you." I checked out 6 books that day. Novels I'd been meaning to read, classics I'd never gotten around to, one poetry collection that Raphael insisted I'd love. We carried them home like treasure. And that night I stayed up until 3 a.m. reading by lamplight and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The months accumulated. Summer turned to fall. then winter. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for my family to call, to demand I come back, to care that I'd left. They never did. My phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts, no missed voicemails. It was like I'd never existed at all. Part of me was relieved, but part of me, the part I tried not to examine too closely, was devastated. Because even though I'd left, even though I'd known they wouldn't notice, some pathetic corner of my heart had still hoped I was wrong. I wasn't. "You okay?" Marcus asked one evening. He was the quietest of my roommates, a night shift nurse who valued peace and routine. We didn't talk much, but when we did, he was surprisingly perceptive. I was curled up on the couch, my phone in my hand, staring at the empty notification screen. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired." He settled into the armchair across from me, cradling a cup of tea. "You check that thing a lot? Waiting for someone to call?" "Not anymore." He nodded, sipping his tea. "My family didn't talk to me for 2 years after I came out. Acted like I'd died. Then one day, my mum called out of the blue, pretended nothing had happened, asked if I was coming for Christmas." "What did you say?" "No." He smiled slightly. Felt good. Felt right. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let people prove they don't deserve a place in your life. How do you know when you've waited long enough? When you stop checking your phone. I met Lucas on a random Tuesday in January. During one of those rare moments when my schedule aligned with normal human hours. I'd gone to the library to return books and maybe find something new. And there he was, 20-something, wearing a faded Arcade Fire t-shirt, reshelf cart beside him as he organized the returns. He looked up when I approached the desk and smiled. "Help you with something?" "Just returning these." I handed over my stack. "And maybe recommendations, if you have time?" "Always have time for that." He scanned my books, glancing at the titles. "Okay, so you like character-driven literary fiction with a melancholic edge. Have you read anything by Hanya Yanagihara?" "No?" "Oh man." He disappeared into the stacks, returning moments later with 2 books. "Start with this one. Warning though, it's devastating. Beautiful, but devastating." "I can handle devastating." He studied me for a moment, something shifting in his expression. "Yeah," he said softly. "I bet you can." That was how it started. I started coming to the library more often, timing my visits to when he was working. We'd talk about books, about life, about nothing and everything. He was getting his degree in library science, working part-time while he finished school. He was funny, thoughtful, and had this way of really listening when you talked. Like your words mattered. "You ever think about what you want to do?" he asked one day. We were sitting in the reading garden behind the library, eating sandwiches on our lunch breaks, all the time. "I just don't have answers." "That's okay. Not knowing is a valid life stage." "Is that from a book?" He grinned. "Probably. Everything I know I learned from books." "That's not true." "How would you know? You've only known me for 3 months." "Because books teach you about stories," I said. "But you learn about people by living. And you're good with people. You see them." He was quiet for a moment. "You know what I see when I look at you?" "What?" Someone who's been invisible for a long time, learning how to be seen, and doing a damn good job of it. My throat went tight. Lucas, just an observation. He stood, gathering his trash. Come on, I want to show you something. He led me back inside, to a corner of the library I'd never explored, the local history section. Pulled out a massive photo book of the city from the 1950s. Why are you showing me this? Because, he said, flipping through pages. Sometimes when I feel lost, I look at these. All these people who lived full lives in this city before I was even born. They had dreams and heartbreaks and boring Tuesdays. They mattered, even though most of them are forgotten now. And it reminds me that mattering doesn't require being remembered. It just requires being. I looked at the black and white photos. Strangers at bus stops, kids playing in streets, couples dancing in nightclubs that no longer existed. You're saying I matter even if no one's paying attention. I'm saying you matter because you exist, independent of anyone else's opinion or attention. He closed the book gently. That's not something you earn or lose. It just is. I carried those words with me for days, turning them over like stones, feeling their weight and truth. It happened on a Wednesday, 18 months after I'd left home. I was in the middle of my shift at Mel's, refilling ketchup bottles during the afternoon lull when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it, probably just Raphael sending me another meme. But something made me check. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? Isabella? The voice hit me like cold water. Deep, familiar, carefully neutral. My father. I hadn't heard his voice in a year and a half. For a moment, I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stand there in the middle of Mel's diner with a ketchup bottle in one hand and my entire past on the other end of the line. Isabella, are you there? Yes. My voice came out steady. I was proud of that. I'm here. It's Dad. Like I wouldn't know. Like I could ever forget. Look, I know it's been a while since we talked. 18 months. A pause. Right. 18 months. Your mother and I have been meaning to reach out. But you didn't. Well, we are now. Listen, I was hoping we could meet up. Talk. There are some things we need to discuss. The audacity of it. Calling out of nowhere, no apology, no explanation, just straight into we need to talk. Would have been funny if it wasn't so perfectly on brand. I'm at work, I said. When do you get off? We could grab coffee or something. Why now? The question came out before I could stop it. 18 months of silence, and now you want coffee? It's complicated. Family business. Your grandmother... He stopped himself. Look, can we do this in person? Please? My grandmother... A thread of dread wound through my stomach. Is she okay? Just, can we meet? Tomorrow, there's a cafe on... I know where there's a cafe. I'll text you when and where. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. Mel looked up from her crossword puzzle, one eyebrow raised. You good, kid? My father just called. The family you walked away from? I'd told Mel pieces of my story over the months. Not everything, but enough. Yeah. What he want? To meet, talk. He mentioned my grandmother. She lit a cigarette, despite the no smoking sign on her own wall. You gonna go? I don't know. Well, she exhaled smoke slowly. Whatever you decide, you come back to work after. This job's here, this life's here, don't forget that. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in my narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the familiar sounds of the building. Mrs. Chen's TV. Raphael's late-night music, the creaking pipes. I kept thinking about my grandmother, Nana Marie, my dad's mother, the only family member who'd ever really seen me. She'd lived in Florida for the past decade, too far away to visit often, but she'd called on my birthdays, sent cards, remembered. If something had happened to her. But why would they need me for that? I'd barely been part of the family when I lived with them. What could they possibly need from me now? I texted my father at 2 a.m. Tuesday, 3 p.m., common grounds on 5th. He responded immediately. I'll be there. Like he'd been waiting. Like he'd been sure I'd agree. I told everyone. Needed their input, their reality checks, their support. Raphael was immediately suspicious. 18 months of radio silence and then, hey, let's grab coffee, sketchy, super sketchy. Maybe they finally realized they fucked up. Melanie suggested. We were at the diner, her with her laptop, me on break. Or maybe they need something, Marcus said quietly. He'd come down with Raphael, both of them staging what they called an intervention, but was really just concerned friends trying to help. That's what I'm afraid of, I admitted. Want company? Lucas offered. He'd joined us too, the four of them forming a protective circle around me. My chosen family, showing up in ways my real one never had. No, I need to do this alone. But could you guys maybe wait nearby in case it goes bad? Obviously, Raphael said. We'll be at that bookstore across the street. You text us anything, literally anything, and we're there in 30 seconds. We'll bring bail money, Melanie added, and a getaway car. Lucas grinned. Despite everything, I laughed. I love you guys. We know, Raphael said, suddenly serious. That's why we're here. Whatever happens Tuesday, you don't face it alone. Not anymore. Tuesday arrived with painful slowness. I changed outfits 3 times, trying to find something that said I'm fine without you, while also saying I'm taking this seriously. Settled finally on jeans and a sweater Lucas had helped me pick out months ago. Simple, comfortable, mine. Raphael made me breakfast. Marcus made sure I ate it. Melanie walked me through breathing exercises she'd learnt for her anxiety. Lucas just hugged me long and tight and said, remember, you don't owe them anything. Not forgiveness, not understanding, nothing. You're there because you chose to be, and you can leave anytime you choose. I held on to those words like a life raft. Common Grounds was busy when I arrived. College students studying, business people having meetings, the beautiful chaos of afternoon coffee culture. I'd chosen it deliberately. Public, neutral ground. Witnesses. My father was already there, sitting at a corner table, and seeing him was like being punched. He looked older, more tired, but also exactly the same. Same suit, same careful posture, same controlled expression. He stood when he saw me. Isabella, you look well. Thanks. I sat down without hugging him, without any of the performative affection that might have once been expected. You wanted to talk. He sat too, clearly uncomfortable. Good. Right. Yes, I'll cut to the chase. Your grandmother passed away last month. The words landed heavy. I'd suspected, but hearing it confirmed still hurt. Nana Marie? Yes, she had a stroke. It was quick, peaceful. She didn't suffer. I swallowed hard. Why didn't anyone tell me? We weren't sure how to reach you. You left no forwarding address, no contact information. I had the same phone number. He had the grace to look uncomfortable. Fair point. What else? She left you something in her will. Well, she left all three of you grandchildren something. Zita got her jewelry collection, Abel got her investment portfolio, and you... He pulled out an envelope, slid it across the table. She left you her house. I stared at the envelope like it might bite me. What? The Florida house. The one she lived in. She left it to you outright. The will was very specific. The property goes to Isabella Quinn. No conditions, no strings. My hands were shaking as I picked up the envelope. Inside was a letter in Nana Marie's familiar handwriting. My dearest Isabella, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I hope I got to say goodbye properly. If not, please know that you were always my favorite grandchild, though I probably shouldn't admit that even now. I'm leaving you my house because I know what it's like to need a place that's truly yours. Not your parents', not a rental, but yours. A foundation to build from. I also know you've left home. Your father tried to keep it from me, but I have my ways of finding things out. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. It takes courage to walk away from what hurts you, even when it looks like family. Make a good life. Be happy. And know that at least one person in this family saw you, loved you, and believed in you. All my love, Nana Marie. I had to set the letter down because my hands were shaking too hard to hold it. She knew, I whispered. She knew I left. Apparently. My father's voice was tight. She called me 6 months ago, asked about you. I told her you'd moved out, and she got very quiet. Then she said, I hope you're looking for her, James. And I said, he stopped. You said what? I said you were 18, an adult, that you'd come back when you were ready. He looked at me finally, really looked at me. She hung up on me, didn't speak to me again before she died. Good for her, I thought. So why am I here? I asked. You could have mailed the will. He took a breath. Because there's a condition. Not on the house, that's yours regardless. But for the will to be finalized, all the grandchildren have to be present at the reading. It's next week, Friday at 10 a.m., her lawyer's office in Florida. And if I don't come, then it gets held up in probate. Could take months. Your cousins would be furious. He paused. And your mother and I were hoping that maybe this could be a chance to reconnect. As a family. There it was. The real reason. You want me to come so you don't look bad in front of the extended family. That's not... He stopped himself. It's complicated. It's really not. I folded the letter carefully, put it back in the envelope. You didn't call for 18 months. You didn't check if I was alive, safe, okay. You didn't call when Nana died. You're calling now because you need something from me. That's not complicated. That's just selfish. Isabella, I know we made mistakes. Mistakes, the word came out sharp. You forgot my 18th birthday. You didn't answer when the hospital called because I'd been hit by a car. You let me walk out of your house and didn't come looking. Those aren't mistakes. That's neglect. That's indifference. We were giving you space. You thought nothing. You didn't think about me at all. And that's fine. I've made peace with it. Built a life without you. But don't sit here and pretend this is about reconnecting. You want me to show up, play the dutiful granddaughter, make everything look normal. He was quiet for a long moment. Will you come to the reading? I thought about Nana Marie. About her letter, her love, her understanding. She'd seen me when no one else did. She'd left me something real, something solid, something mine. I'll come to the reading, I said. For her, not for you. That's fair. But I'm not staying. I'm not playing happy family. I'll be there, I'll sign whatever needs signing, and then I'm done. We clear? Crystal. I stood. One more thing. How's Abel? He's Abel, barely passing school. Your mother's worried about college. And Zita? Thriving. She's up for another promotion. Of course she was. Good for her. Don't you want to know about us? Your mother and me? I looked at him. This man who'd given me life but never really saw it. And felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, just nothing. Not really, I said honestly. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. But I don't need to know. I've got my own life now. I turned to leave, then stopped. Actually, there is one thing I'm curious about. What's that? When did you notice I was gone? How long did it take? He looked away. 3 weeks. I laughed. Couldn't help it. 3 weeks, wow. Your mother went into your room to ask you to do something. Found the note. And what did she do? She cried, we both did. We called your phone. Once, you called once, I have the logs. We thought you needed space, that you'd come back when you were ready. You thought I'd crawl back, I corrected. That I'd realize I couldn't survive without you and come home apologizing. But I didn't, and you had no backup plan, so you just let it go. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Dad. I learned that a long time ago. In your house, actually. I walked out before he could respond, and this time I didn't look back. My friends were waiting at the bookstore, exactly as promised. I walked in, and they immediately surrounded me. Raphael with a hug, Marcus with a gentle shoulder squeeze, Melanie with tea she'd bought just in case, Lucas with his steady, grounding presence. How bad? Raphael asked. My grandmother died, left me her house. They want me to come to Florida for the will reading. Are you going? I pulled out the letter, let them read it. Watched their faces soften as they took in Nana Marie's words. She sounds amazing, Melanie said softly. She was. She is. She's the only one who ever... I couldn't finish. Then we go, Lucas said simply. To Florida, for the reading. We? You think we're letting you face those people alone? Raphael looked offended. Please. We're coming with. Moral support, getaway drivers, professional shit talkers if needed. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. Marcus interrupted. We're offering. There's a difference. I looked at these people, these beautiful, ridiculous people who'd become my family in the space of 18 months, and felt tears building. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for seeing me. Always, Lucas said. That's what family does. The flight to Florida was surreal, and I'd bought tickets for all of us using some of the money I'd saved. Raphael protested until I reminded him he'd covered my groceries twice last month without asking. And we squeezed into economy seats like sardines in a can. Raphael spent the flight making ridiculous itineraries. Okay, so obviously we hit the beach. And there's this drag brunch spot I read about. Oh, and we should rent a car. Something ridiculous. Like a convertible. We're gonna show up at your family thing in style. We're not showing up in a convertible. I laughed. Counterpoint, yes we are. We did, in fact, rent a convertible. A bright red one that cost way too much, but made Raphael so happy I couldn't say no. This is our pretty woman moment, he declared, hanging out the passenger window as we drove through Florida sunshine. I don't think you understand that movie, Marcus said from the back seat. I understand it emotionally. The hotel was modest. We'd gotten 2 rooms, splitting up boys and girls. And that first night, we all piled into one room with pizza and cheap wine, going over the game plan. So the reading is Friday at 10, I said. We show up, I sign what needs signing, we leave. And if they try to make it weird? Melanie asked. They'll definitely try to make it weird, I said. That's kind of their thing. Then we make it weirder, Raphael suggested. Assert dominance. Or, Lucas interjected calmly, we be civil, support Isabella, and get out with minimal drama. Your way is less fun, Raphael pouted. But he was right, I realized. This was my moment to close this chapter on my terms. Not with drama or revenge or anything messy. Just closure. Clean, simple, done. Friday morning arrived too fast. I put on the nicest outfit I owned, a dress Melanie had helped me find, simple and professional, and tried to quiet the anxiety buzzing in my chest. You look great, Lucas said when I emerged from the bathroom. Very successful, independent woman. That's the goal. The lawyer's office was downtown, all glass and marble and expensive furniture. My parents were already there, along with Zita and Abel. Seeing them all together was like looking at a photograph of someone else's family. Zita looked polished and perfect as always, designer outfit and flawless makeup. Abel had grown, taller, broader, but still with that entitled slouch. My parents were dressed like they were attending a business meeting, which I guess they were. They all turned when I walked in. Isabella, my mother said, standing. She looked like she wanted to hug me, but wasn't sure if she should. Mom. I stayed near the door, my friends behind me like bodyguards. Dad. Zita. Abel. You brought people? Zita said, looking at my crew with barely disguised confusion. My friends. They're my support system. For a will reading? Abel scoffed. For dealing with you, Raffaello said cheerfully. Isabella said you could be a handful. My mother's eyes widened. I see. The lawyer saved us from further awkwardness, emerging from his office with a professional smile. The Quinn family, please come in. Your friends are welcome to wait in the lobby. They're coming in, I said firmly. Isabella, my father started. They're coming in, or I'm leaving. Your choice. He looked at the lawyer, who shrugged. It's mutual, but not prohibited. We filed in like the world's strangest funeral procession. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, according to his nameplate, had us all sit, then opened a folder with practiced efficiency. Thank you all for coming. As you know, we're here for the reading of Marie Elizabeth Quinn's last will and testament. I'll start with the primary bequests and then handle any questions. He read through the will methodically. Zita got the jewelry, as my father had mentioned. Abel got the investment portfolio, a substantial amount that made his eyes light up. Various cousins got smaller bequests. Then, to my granddaughter Isabella Rose Quinn, I leave my home at 428 Magnolia Drive, Palm Beach, Florida, including all furnishings and contents thereof, to be hers absolutely and without condition. Additionally, I leave her the contents of my personal safe, access instructions included with this will. Wait, the house? Zita said. Just the whole house? That's what it says, Mr. Patterson confirmed. But that's worth... She stopped herself, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. The house was probably worth $500,000, maybe more. Grandmother can leave her property to whoever she wants, I said calmly. It just seems odd, my mother said carefully. You barely visited her. Zita saw her regularly. Maybe that's not what mattered to her, I wed. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. There's also a letter. Mrs. Quinn requested it be read aloud. He opened another envelope. She wrote, I know some of you will question my decision to leave the house to Isabella. Let me be clear. I leave it to her because she needs it most, and because she earned it through the simple act of being herself. She never pretended, never performed, never asked for anything. She just was, genuine and quiet and overlooked. I see you, Isabella. I always had it. The silence in that office was deafening. As for the rest of you, Mr. Patterson continued reading, I hope the gifts I've left bring you joy. But I also hope they make you think about what really matters. Love isn't about showing up when it's convenient. It's about seeing people when they're invisible. Remember that. I felt tears building, but held them back. Not here. Not in front of them. Are there any questions about the distribution? Mr. Patterson asked. When can I access the property? I asked. Immediately. I have keys for you here. He slid them across the desk. And the safe access code. Everything else is handled. Property taxes are paid through the end of the year. Utilities are on. It's move-in ready. Wait, my mother said. You're not actually planning to move there. You live here, in California. I live where I choose to live, I said. But thank you for your concern. Isabella, can we talk? My father asked. Privately? No. Please, just 5 minutes. I looked at Lucas, who gave me a small nod. Your choice. Fine, 5 minutes. My friends stay close. We stepped into the hallway. My parents, Zita, Abel, and me. My friends positioned themselves by the windows, close enough to intervene, far enough to give us space. What do you want? I asked. To apologize, my mother said. For everything. For not being there. For not seeing you. For forgetting my birthday. For ignoring the hospital calls. For letting me walk out and not caring enough to look for me. She flinched. Yes, all of it, Okay. They waited, clearly expecting more. That's it? Zita said. Just okay? What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? That we can start over? We can't. Too much time has passed. Too much damage was done. We're still your family, Abel said. No, I said calmly. You're people I'm related to. There's a difference. Family shows up. Family cares. Family notices when you're gone. You did none of that. We're doing it now, my father said, because you need something. Because Nana's death forced you to confront my absence. But if she hadn't died, you'd still be going through your lives pretending I didn't exist. Be honest. The silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. I pulled out my phone, showed them a photo. This is my family. These 4 people who came to Florida with me, who took time off work, who spent money they don't have, who showed up when I needed them. These people who've known me less than 2 years, but see me more clearly than you ever did. That's not fair, Zita said. Why? Because it's true? Because it makes you look bad? I shook my head. You don't get to decide what's fair anymore. Not for me. So what? My mother said, tears streaming now. You're just writing us off? After everything? After everything? I couldn't help the bitter laugh. After you wrote me off for 18 years? Yeah, Mom. I'm choosing myself. The way you never chose me. Isabella, my father tried. I'm done, I said. Done explaining, done defending, done hoping you'll magically become different people. I'll take Nana's house. I'll cherish what she left me. But you, I release you from any obligation to care about me, and I release myself from needing you to. I turned to walk away, then stopped. One more thing. For what it's worth, I said, looking back at them. I hope you're happy. I hope you have good lives. I just won't be in them. And that's okay. We'll all survive. I walked back to my friends, who immediately enveloped me in a protective huddle. Let's see this house, Raphael said. Yes, I managed. Let's go home. The house at 428 Magnolia Drive was perfect. Not in a fancy magazine cover way, but in a this is what home feels like way. Single story, painted a soft yellow with a porch swing and wild garden that Nana had clearly tended with love. Inside, it was full of light and books and comfortable furniture that invited you to stay a while. This is yours, Melanie breathed, spinning in the living room. Like, yours? Apparently. Raphael was already exploring, calling out discoveries. There's a sunroom and a guest bedroom, 2 guest bedrooms. We could all live here. Rough. I'm just saying, there's room. If you wanted company, no pressure. But the idea took root. Why not? This house, these people building something real together. Let's talk about it, I urged, after we process all of the thises. The personal safe Nana mentioned was in the master bedroom closet. I entered the code Mr. Patterson had given me, and inside found envelopes, lots of them, each labeled with a different year, starting from my birth. I opened the first one, Isabella, age 1. Inside were photos. Me as a baby, chubby and smiling, being held by Nana. A birthday card she'd sent my parents. A note in her handwriting. Called to wish my granddaughter happy birthday. No answer. Left message. The second envelope, age 2. More photos, more cards, more notes. Sent birthday gift. Haven't heard if it arrived. Age 3, 4, 5, the pattern continued. Evidence of a grandmother who'd tried, who'd remembered, who'd cared from a distance while my parents forgot from up close. By age 13, her notes changed tone. Called Isabella directly today. She sounds so sad. Asked about school. She brightened talking about books. Going to send her my favorites. Age 14. Isabella told me she feels invisible. My heart breaks. Sent her journal. Told her to write herself seen. Age 17. She mentioned the accident. No one told me about any accident. Called James. He said it was minor and handled. The way Isabella described it didn't sound minor. She sounded so alone. I sat on the floor of that closet, surrounded by 18 years of love, documented in cards and notes and photos, and finally let myself cry. Not sad tears, grateful ones. Because at least one person had seen me, had documented my existence, valued it, believed it mattered. Lucas found me there an hour later, sat down beside me without a word. Just held my hand while I cried. She knew, I finally said. The whole time she knew they were failing me, and she tried to make up for it. She loved you. She left me a house because she knew I'd need somewhere that was completely mine. No strings, no conditions, no one who could take it away. She sounds like she was an incredible woman. She was. I looked at the envelopes still unopened. I should finish these. Want company? Please. We went through them together. Dun dun. The last envelope, marked age 18 and beyond, was thicker. Inside, another letter. Isabella, if you're reading this, you've made it to adulthood and I'm gone. I'm sorry I won't be there to see what you become, but I have a feeling you're going to be extraordinary. These envelopes are my gift to you. Proof that someone was always watching, always caring, always believing in you. Your parents love you in their way, but they're too caught up in their own lives to see what's right in front of them. That's their loss. You deserved better. You deserve to be cherished. And I hope, wherever you are, whoever you've become, that you've found people who do cherish you, who see your quiet strength, your gentle heart, your brilliant mind. The house is yours to do with as you please. Sell it, keep it, fill it with people you love. Whatever brings you joy. Just promise me one thing. Don't let anyone make you small again. You were never meant to be invisible. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. For surviving, for leaving, for choosing yourself. That takes courage most people never find. All my love, always. Nana Marie, P.S. There's one more thing in the safe. Bottom compartment. Lucas helped me find the hidden compartment. Inside was a bank book, an account in my name, with deposits made monthly for 18 years. The balance, $47,000. Holy shit, I whispered. A note attached. For college or emergencies, or just living. Your choice, your life, your freedom. We stayed in Florida for a week, cleaned out the house, decided what to keep and what to donate. Found more treasures. Nana's book collection, her recipe box, her garden tools. Each item a piece of a life well lived, now passed to me. My friends fell in love with the place as hard as I did. Raphael claimed the sunroom as his future art studio. Melanie found perfect acoustics for recording podcasts in the guest room. Marcus loved the quiet neighborhood, said it felt peaceful after night shifts. Lucas spent hours in the garden, making plans for restoration. We could actually do this, Melanie said one night. We were on the porch, watching sunset paint the sky. Pool our resources, split costs, make this work. You'd really move across the country? I asked. For family? Yeah. She squeezed my hand. You're stuck with us now. I've had worse problems. Moving was chaos. We gave notice on the apartment, quit our jobs, packed our lives into a rented truck. I sold my parents on taking some time to handle the estate, which was technically true. I didn't tell them I wasn't coming back. The drive across country took 4 days. We rotated drivers, sang terrible road trip songs, stopped at the world's biggest ball of tint, Raphael's insistence, and built memories that felt like stitching together a quilt. You know what this is? Marcus said somewhere in Texas. This is chosen family at its finest. Damn right, Raphael agreed. We're like the found family Avengers. That's not a thing, I laughed. It is now. We rolled into Palm Beach on a Thursday afternoon, and I felt something I'd never felt pulling up to my parents' house. I was home. The first few months were an adjustment. We established house rules, cleaning rotations, quiet hours, learned each other's rhythms and quirks and boundaries. It wasn't always smooth. 5 people in one house never is. But it was real, honest, built on choice instead of obligation. I enrolled in the local community college, transferring my credits. Decided to major in library science, inspired by Lucas and my own love of books. Started seeing a therapist too, someone recommended by Marcus, who'd been in therapy for years. It helps, he'd said simply. Having someone outside the situation who can help you process. He was right. Dr. Chen, no relation to my old landlord, helped me untangle years of neglect. Helped me see that leaving wasn't abandonment. It was self-preservation. Helped me understand that I could love my family and also recognize they weren't healthy for me. You were allowed to grieve the family you deserved, she said, during one session, even while being grateful for the family you found. That permission to hold both truths was liberating. Lucas and I started dating about 3 months after the move. It happened naturally, like everything between us did. Movie nights that turned into falling asleep on the couch together, cooking dinner side by side. The way he'd bring me coffee exactly how I liked it without being asked. Is this okay? He asked after our first kiss, in the garden he'd restored to glory. Dating your roommate is probably against some rule. We make our own rules here, I said and kissed him again. Raphael appointed himself our relationship cheerleader, making embarrassing signs and cheering whenever we held hands. Melanie demanded cute couple content for her Instagram. Marcus just smiled and said he'd called it months ago. It was silly and sweet and felt nothing like the cold, performative relationships I'd grown up watching. My mother called 6 months after I'd moved. I almost didn't answer. Isabella. Hi. It's Mom. I know. Awkward silence. How are you? She asked. Good. Busy. Settling into the house. You're staying there? In Florida? Yeah. enrolled in school, got a job at the local library, made a life. That's good. That's really good. She paused. Your father and I were talking, and we thought maybe we could visit. See the house? Spend some time together. Every instinct screamed no, but Dr. Chen's voice was in my head. You get to set the boundaries. You're in control now. I'm not ready for that, I said calmly. Maybe someday, but not now. I need more time. How much time? I don't know, Mom. I'll let you know when I know. But we're trying. Doesn't that count for something? It counts for trying. It doesn't erase 18 years of not trying. So we just wait until you decide we've suffered enough? And there it was, the victim narrative. She wasn't calling to connect. She was calling to assuage her own guilt. You're not suffering, Mum. You're experiencing consequences. There's a difference. When you're ready to own what happened, really own it, not just apologize to make yourself feel better. Maybe we can talk. Until then, I need space. Isabella, I have to go. I've got class. I didn't, but she didn't need to know that. Take care of yourself. I hung up feeling lighter, cleaner, like I'd finally drawn a line that mattered. Zita showed up unannounced 8 months after the move. Just appeared on my doorstep one Saturday morning, looking uncharacteristically nervous. Can we talk? She asked. I considered saying no, but curiosity won. Sure. We sat on the porch swing, the same one Nana used to sit on. Zita looked around, taking in the garden, the painted shutters, the wind chimes. It's beautiful here, she said. Thanks. Silence. I owe you an apology, she finally said. A real one. Not the performative bullshit from the lawyer's office. That got my attention. I was jealous of you, she continued. Growing up, I know that sounds insane, because I was the golden child. But I was jealous of how free you were. How you didn't care what they thought. I spent my whole life performing, being perfect. Because I thought that's what love cost. And you just existed. Authentically. It made me furious. So you ignored me. So I dismissed you. Told myself you didn't matter, that you were just the weird middle one kid. Because acknowledging you meant acknowledging that maybe all my performing was pointless. She looked at me. I'm sorry for treating you like you were invisible. For not standing up for you. For being complicit in a family dynamic that hurt you. I didn't know what to say. I'm in therapy now, she added. Finally. And I'm realizing how fucked up our childhood was. How Mom and Dad pitted us against each other without meaning to. How I bought into the comparison game because it made me feel special. But it was toxic, all of it. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better. You deserved a sister who protected you, not one who competed with you. And I can't change the past, but I can at least be honest about it. I studied her, my perfect sister, looking decidedly imperfect in yoga pants and a messy bun, with circles under her eyes that spoke to sleepless nights. Are you okay? I asked. She laughed, but it sounded broken. No, I quit my job. left my fiancé. Basically blew up my perfect life because I realized it was killing me. I was becoming mom, obsessed with appearances, with success, with being admired. And I don't want that. What do you want? I don't know yet. That's terrifying, but also kind of exciting. She looked at me. How did you do it? Walk away from everything? I realized that everything wasn't actually anything. It was just fear and obligation dressed up as family. And now? I gestured to the house. Now I have friends who are family, work I care about, a life I built on purpose. It's not perfect, but it's mine. That sounds incredible. We sat in silence for a while, swinging gently, watching cars pass. Can I ask you something? Sita finally said. Sure. Do you think we could be sisters? Real ones, not just biologically related? I thought about it. Maybe. Someday. If you do the work and actually change. But Sita, I'm not interested in being your redemption arc. I'm not going to absolve you of guilt or make you feel better about the past. That's your work to do. That's fair. And I'm not moving back into any family dynamic. I'm building my own life. You can be part of it if you want, but only if you show up consistently. Not just when it's convenient. I can do that. I want to do that. We'll see. She stood to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth. I'm really proud of you. You're the bravest person I know. After she left, I sat on the porch for a long time processing. Hope was dangerous. I'd learned that young. But maybe, with clear boundaries and realistic expectations, there was room for something new with Sita. Maybe. A year after leaving, I was unrecognizable from the girl who'd packed boxes in silence. I had a 3.8 GPA, a job I loved at the library, where I was training to be a children's librarian. A house full of people who actually gave a shit if I came home at night. A relationship with Lucas that felt healthy and real. A therapist helping me process trauma. A garden I was learning to tend. I had a life. The anniversary of leaving fell on a Saturday. Raphael wanted to throw a party, celebrating 1 year of freedom. But I wanted something quieter. Let's just do dinner, I said. All of us, something nice. We went to this Italian place downtown, got a table on the patio, ordered too much wine and pasta. Melanie made a toast. To Isabella, for being brave enough to leave and smart enough to build something beautiful. To found family, Marcus added. To choosing yourself, Lucas said, squeezing my hand. To revenge plots that don't require actual revenge. Raphael grinned, just living well. I raised my glass. To all of you. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself. For being the family I didn't know I needed. We clinked glasses. And in that moment, surrounded by laughter and love and carbs, I felt complete. My father called on a Tuesday. 2 years almost to the day since I'd left their house. Isabella, it's Dad. Hi. How are you? Good. Really good, actually. That's great. Listen, I was calling because we're having a family reunion this summer. Your mom's side. And we'd really like you to come, as a family. I took a breath. Why? What do you mean, why? Why do you want me there? Be honest. Long pause. Because people will ask where you are. Because your aunt keeps asking about you. Because it would be good for everyone to see that we're all okay. So appearances, that's not fair. Dad, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm done performing for other people's comfort. If you want me at the reunion because you genuinely want to spend time with me, because you've missed me, because you've done the work to understand why I left, that's different. But if you just want me there, so you don't have to explain my absence, I'm not interested. We have missed you? Have you? Or have you missed the idea of me, the complete set of children to show off? Silence. That's what I thought. I wasn't angry, just tired. Look, I don't hate you. I don't wish you ill. But I also don't owe you my presence. I've built a good life here. I'm happy. And I'm not going to compromise that to make you look good at a barbecue. What about your mother? She asks about you constantly. She has my number. She can call me herself. She's afraid you'll reject her. Then she knows how I felt for 18 years. The words came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take them back. Dad, I need to go. I hope you have a good reunion. Send everyone my best. Isabella, wait. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up and stared at my phone for a long moment. Then I texted my therapist. Made a boundary, stuck to it. Feels good and awful. She responded almost immediately. That's exactly how healthy boundaries feel at first. Proud of you. Lucas found me in the garden an hour later, pulling weeds with maybe more aggression than necessary. Heard the phone ring? He said, settling beside me. Your dad? Yeah. Wants me at a family reunion. For appearances. What'd you say? No. Well, basically no. I told him I wasn't interested in performing for their comfort. How do you feel about that? I sat back on my heels, wiping dirt on my jeans, relieved, guilty, strong, sad, all of it at once. That's a lot. Is it? Because sometimes I feel like I should just get over it. Like I should be the bigger person and forgive them and move on. Moving on doesn't require forgiving them. And being the bigger person doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Where'd you learn that? Therapy. Years of it. He pulled me close. You don't owe them anything, Isabella. Not your time, not your energy, not your healing. That's all yours. What if they never change? Then they never change. And you keep living your life with people who do see you, who do value you. That's not settling. That's choosing yourself. I leaned against him, breathing in the garden smell, herbs and flowers and fresh earth, and let myself feel it all. The grief of the family I'd wanted, the joy of the family I'd found, the complicated middle ground of acceptance. I love you, I said. I love you too. 3 months later, my mother sent a letter, actual pen and paper mailed to the house. Dear Isabella, I've started this letter 20 times, and I'm not sure this version will be any better than the others. But I need to try. You were right about all of it. Your father and I failed you in ways I'm only beginning to understand. We were so focused on Zita's achievements and Abel's needs that we forgot you had both. We took your independence for granted, your quietness as contentment, your absence as choice. I'm in therapy now. Dr. Morrison keeps asking me why I never looked for you when you left. And I keep giving her excuses. You were 18. You left a note. We thought you needed space. But the truth is simpler and uglier. I didn't look because looking would mean admitting I'd failed. And I wasn't ready for that. I'm working on being ready now. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve the chance to try. But I want you to know that I see it now. All the ways we made you invisible. All the moments we should have shown up and didn't. I see it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we forgot your birthday. I'm sorry we didn't answer when the hospital called. I'm sorry we let you walk away without fighting to keep you. I'm sorry for 18 years of being so caught up in our own lives that we forgot to make room for yours. If you're willing, I'd like to try again. Not as your parents trying to reclaim you, but as flawed people trying to build something new with you. Whatever that looks like, whatever pace you need. If you're not willing, I understand. You've built a beautiful life without us. Your grandmother was right about you. You're stronger than we ever gave you credit for. With love and regret, Mum, I read it 3 times, then showed it to Dr. Chen in our next session. What do you want to do? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe she's changed, but part of me is terrified of getting hurt again. Both of those feelings are valid. You don't have to decide right now. You can sit with this. What if I never want a relationship with them? Then that's your choice, and it's valid. What if you do want to try? Then that's also my choice, and it's valid. I smiled slightly. You're very good at this. It's almost like it's my job. I took the letter home, put it in the drawer with Nana's envelopes, and let myself think about it. No pressure, no timeline, just consideration. 2.5 years after I left, I graduated with my associate's degree in library science. Top of my class, actually. I'd applied to a 4-year program for my bachelor's, got accepted with a partial scholarship. My chosen family came to the graduation ceremony in force. Raphael made signs. Melanie live-streamed it. Marcus brought flowers. Lucas brought my favorite coffee and a kiss that made me blush in my cap and gown. Proud of you, he whispered. Couldn't have done it without you all. Yes, you could have, Marcus said, but you didn't have to. That's the point. I scanned the crowd, not looking for anyone specific, but aware that I was looking. They didn't come. My parents, Sita, Abel. I'd sent an invitation to the house, an olive branch of sorts, leaving the choice to them. They chose not to come. It hurt. Not the way it would have 2 years ago, but it still hurt. The sting of being someone's afterthought, even after all this time and work and change. But then Raphael was hugging me, and Melanie was crying happy tears, and Lucas was grinning so wide, and Marcus was taking approximately 7,000 photos, and I realized I wasn't missing anything. I had everything I needed right here. We celebrated at the house with too much champagne and Raphael's truly terrible attempt at baking a cake. We ordered pizza instead. Melanie's podcast was taking off. She had actual sponsors now, actual listeners. Raphael had landed a design job at a local firm. Marcus had been promoted to head nurse on his unit. Lucas was finishing his degree too, looking at library positions for after graduation. We were all growing, all building, all becoming. Speech, Raphael demanded, raising his glass. The graduate must speech. I'm drunk, I protested. Even better, I stood, wobbling slightly, and looked at these people who'd become my everything. 2.5 years ago, I said, I left a house where I was invisible. I took a bus across town with 6 boxes and no plan except to survive. And I thought that was enough. Survival. I thought if I could just get through each day without falling apart, that would be success. I paused, gathering thoughts that were definitely champagne fuzzy. But you guys taught me something better. You taught me that survival isn't the ceiling, it's the floor. That I could build on it. That I deserved to build on it. Lucas taught me that being seen is a gift you give yourself by showing up authentically. Marcus taught me that chosen family is just as real as blood family. Maybe more real because it's deliberate. Melanie taught me that your past doesn't define your future unless you let it. And Raphael, here it comes, he grinned. Raphael taught me that joy is a choice. That you can decide every single day to find something ridiculous and beautiful and laugh at it. Even when, especially when things are hard. I raised my glass, trying not to cry. So thank you for choosing me, for seeing me, for building this beautiful, chaotic, perfect family with me. I love you all so much it's actually embarrassing. To embarrassing amounts of love, Raphael cheered. To found family, Melanie added. To Isabella, Lucas said. We drank and laughed, and later that night, when everyone had gone to bed, I stood in the garden, Nana's garden, my garden now, and felt something I'd never felt before. Complete. Not because I had everything figured out, not because all my wounds had healed, but because I'd built something real from nothing. Because I'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to me, being forgotten, and transformed it into the best thing, finding people who'd never forget me. That's the real revenge plot. Not hurting the people who hurt you, but healing so completely that they become irrelevant. My mother called on my 21st birthday. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I almost dropped to my phone. Mum, I know I have no right to call, and I know this doesn't make up for the birthdays I missed, but I wanted you to know that I remembered, that I'm trying to do better. Thank you, I said carefully. Are you celebrating? Yeah, friends are taking me out tonight. That sounds lovely. I won't keep you. I wanted you to know I'm thinking of you. Mom? Yes? I got your letter from a few months ago. Silence. Then, did it mean anything? It meant you're trying. That matters. Does it mean we could talk sometime? Maybe? I looked around the house. My house, my home, my chosen life. Felt the weight of 2.5 years of healing, of growth, of learning to exist without needing their approval. Maybe, I said, I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday. I'll wait, however long it takes. Don't wait for me, Mom. Live your life. Do your work. If we get to a place where we can build something new, it'll happen. But I can't be your redemption project. I understand. I hope you do. After we hung up, Lucas came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. You okay? Yeah, I think I actually am. Want to talk about it? Later. Right now, I want to celebrate with my family. He kissed my temple. Your chariot awaits, birthday girl. Raphael's already started pre-gaming, and Melanie's got a whole itinerary that she's very proud of. God help us. Nah. God gave us each other. We're golden. 5 years after I left. The house has changed. We painted it blue. Raphael's idea. And surprisingly perfect. The garden is wild and abundant, full of vegetables and flowers and herbs. We added a chicken coop last year because Melanie became obsessed with ethical eggs. We're ridiculous and happy and somehow making it work. I finished my bachelor's degree. Got a job as a children's librarian at the main branch. Started a program for underprivileged kids, giving them access to books and safe space and someone who sees them. Every kid who comes in gets seen. That's my promise. Lucas and I got married last spring. Small ceremony in the garden. Just our chosen family and a few close friends. Zita came. She's been doing the work. Consistent, genuine, showing up. We're not close, not the way sisters in movies are, but we're building something real, something honest. My parents didn't come to the wedding. I didn't invite them. Maybe someday. But not yet. Arbel reached out last month. He's 19 now, struggling with the same realization I had, that our parents' love is conditional, performative. He wants to talk. I told him I'm willing to listen, but that I can't save him. He has to save himself. He's thinking about it. Melanie's podcast hit 1 million subscribers. Raphael's design work is featured in magazines. Marcus is teaching nursing classes at the community college. Lucas is assistant head librarian at his branch. We're all becoming who we were meant to be. Sometimes people ask if I regret leaving, if I wish things had been different. The answer is complicated. I regret that they didn't see me. I regret the childhood I didn't have, the birthdays they forgot, the accident they ignored. I regret that it took me 18 years to realize I deserved better. But I don't regret leaving, because leaving taught me that silence isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's peace. Sometimes it's the quiet that comes after years of noise, when you finally stop begging for attention and learn to give it to yourself. I'm not invisible anymore. Not because they finally see me, but because I see myself. And I've surrounded myself with people who see me too. That's the twist no one tells you about family drama. The real revenge isn't making them sorry, it's making yourself whole. Last week, I found another letter from Nana, tucked into one of her books, like she knew I'd find it eventually. Isabella, if you're reading this, you've done it. You've built a life. I'm so proud of you. Remember what I told you when you were little. That quiet people see the most, feel the deepest, understand the best. I meant it. Your silence was never weakness. It was wisdom, waiting for the right moment to speak. This is your moment, sweetheart. Whatever you build from here, whatever you choose, whoever you become, that's your voice. That's your power. Use it well. All my love, Nana. Hung the letter in my office at the library, right above my desk where I can see it every day. Some mornings, I look at it and remember that terrified 18-year-old packing boxes in silence, not knowing if she'd survive. And I think, look at you now. Look at what you built from nothing. Look at the family you found. the life you chose, the person you became. That girl would be so proud. I know I am. The real revenge is healing so completely that the people who hurt you become irrelevant. Not forgotten. That gives them too much power. Just irrelevant. Background noise in a life that's finally, beautifully yours. That's my story. The one where I left, found myself, and learned that the best kind of justice is living well. Not for anyone's approval. Not to prove anyone wrong. Just for me. And that's enough. That's everything. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away quietly and build something beautiful from the silence. This is that story.